Hey guys, it's so lovely to see you here. Today we are talking about the fairies. There is a very beautiful message that has come in through the elemental or fairy being kingdom. So as usual, I was meditating and then the fairies came along and started telling me about some very significant and important information that they would like humanity to know at this time. So I have some notes that I'll be looking down at. For now, I want to start by saying that a big part of the message, it's like there's a few big parts, right? But one big part of it, the first thing they said was, we would like humanity to clarify their intention with the earth. And if you think about that language and you feel into that energy, what they're talking about is that we are asked to really come home to our essential connection with Earth and to honor our intentions with Earth. The sense is that there are ancient codes and ancient contracts that we have had just by virtue of living here, incarnating here, being human. And because we forgot who we are, we have not been living by these earth codes. And so the elemental kingdom and Gaia, who they represent, would like us to re-honor our intention, re-establish your sacred connection with the earth. We can do this in groups or you can do this individually. And in this vision there was memory of old times where we would go to a temple kind of place and we would light a candle, and everything that we did in the community was in communication and synergy and song with the earth. This is the only way to live, to live truly and to keep our planet healthy and ourselves healthy. And we see that in the animals. They showed me visions of beautiful buffalo eating the grass. They're so cute. I love them. And butterflies flying. And something that was really significant was when these animals are just relaxing and living, they are in a constant connection with the earth. They feel it. They feel a connection with the earth. These buffalo, in their perspective, were able to feel the ocean. That's what I was sort of being drawn to see or sense, is they were feeling the seas of their earth. And when it moved to the butterfly, she was feeling the sky. She was feeling the entire sky, even as she was drinking nectar from a flower. And also within this image was the sense of what's occurring in those energies, in the sea, in the sky. So the butterfly was sensing these unnatural waves. The only way I can describe it is like a digital energy pulsing through, and she, or I as that butterfly in this perspective, it didn't like that. It feels painful. It feels like the energy is all wrong. Energy is supposed to flow smoothly in waves, gentle, smooth, and it was like, has this shaking energy, and just very empty as well, and not in a beautiful emptiness way, in an unhealthy way. And in the seas for the buffalo, there is, or was, this sort of anxiety. There's an anxiety that's hanging out in our seas. And I really think that is being reflected in the sea and the damage that is occurring in there. This is kind of one of the cultivating energies of that experience. And as I talk about it more, I'm receiving more, that anxiety is kind of like an existential anxiety, that because we are disconnected from our source self and our planetary connection, which helps keep us balanced, we don't remember that we're eternal, and so there's that existential survival energy. And I think it's just building and building and building. I'm receiving more now. It's just been building and building, and it's coming to, a pivotal point, which is why there's so much destruction of the earth. and tension in humanity. And that makes sense with, you know, the energies we've previously spoken about this shift that we're going through right now. Everything is intensifying, the light and the shadow. Yeah, so this is really, really important. I keep saying it's important because the way they were speaking to me was just, this is the only way. This is the only way for humanity to move forwards healthfully, is for those, the children of the rainbow light, as they say, to come home to who they are and live by the earth now. It is a life or death situation, and we can move through it with ease when we commune with the earth. So, let's see. Okay, they were also showing me and talking about the way that the light is changing, which we've spoken about before on this channel, particularly in my video called Alcyone. The sun or rays of light are shifting, but they were showing me that these are echoes of previous times where the earth was healthful and beautiful. And it's a more multidimensional light as well. So it brings back with it memory. And so we are able to tap into that. And they were just kind of saying, like, this is why you're experiencing this, guys. That's what they were saying about the light. Here's why. And they were asking us to remember who we are. And this comes from connecting with the heart. Whenever I say remembering on this channel, it's not about going and like looking for memories, though they will come, and they are more available now because they are in this light, and our frequency is increasing. But it's about remember who you are, which is embodied through the heart, the central sun of who you are. So they were saying, remember who you are, and when your cities were diamonds and tall towers only shone light of the one song. And there was this beautiful vision of, I am pretty sure it looks very Atlantis-y to me, ancient Atlantis, where there were these beautiful diamond towers or crystalline towers. These were the only structures. Any structures were gold made of light. They were not unnatural. And they were also telling me that through our remembering and coming home to who we are, what that also does for us and for the planet, because the planet needs us to remember who we are, is it calls in or gives permission for ancient teachers or higher dimensional beings of light to actually be here more, to work with you more closely, to help us heal the planet and heal ourselves. We must remember who we are, and that is permission, because they honor that sacred path of remembering and awakening, and they do not push past it. So if you rise and you meet them there, they will meet us there. Something else that was important was the shifts, the climate change, so to speak. I say that because I feel like we don't even really, I feel like the scientific understanding is missing the spiritual understanding, and perhaps the spiritual understanding in some areas is missing a scientific understanding. And so I don't love that word because it's been adopted in a way where I don't think it describes the full picture of what's happening. But for lack of a better word, the shifts that we're experiencing, the changes that we're experiencing, they were pointing to that the earth chakras are shifting and her meridians are changing, just as our own do as we heal or ascend, whatever you might call that. That's a healthy, normal thing. And so there was a message that there may be turbulence in the Earth's body coming up as volcanic eruptions, and to understand this rather than fear this, and to allow this, just now I'm getting an image of basically helping me to explain, which is if a volcano arises, the people just simply, okay, pick up and move. This is the way to live in harmony with life. It is to just pick up and move with the flow of the earth, even if you have to rehome or even if you have to die. There's a non-resistance. We see that when when leaves die on a tree, or when the animals pass. It's just a time to go home. And I'm not saying that there's, I'm not talking about great death or any scary anything. I'm just saying that our resistance to the process of life is the causation for the deep suffering that we have within our survival system. And I think that animals and nature exemplifies, the best way to have a survival mechanism to live without being disharmonious to the natural course of the flow of life. So when they were speaking about the earth body and the shifts that are occurring, these natural disasters or shifts in weather patterns, we must support the earth and trust the earth rather than perceiving it as something terrifying. The metaphor that the guides gave was of a woman in labor. Her body dramatically shifts and does crazy things and changes and opens and flows differently. And we trust in that process, even though there is sometimes, I don't even want to use the word pain, but distortion, destruction, or shift of something that's been always been in the body, the way that it's always been moving. We need to really see our beautiful mother planet as a beautiful woman who is shifting her body and going into labor to birth what we have collectively created. We have collectively asked for this great sacred birthing, and that is the new earth, or utopia, however you experience that, which is really about peace and knowing who we are. So with these shifts that we will continue to see, when you see that, you might notice fear, or especially if you're a part of it, and that's okay. But what we're invited to do is to adopt an attitude of trust and step into, I might feel fear right now, or hesitance or confusion about how to handle this, and I understand the process and I trust in this birthing, and I give up my attachment to my own way that I want to live, or where I want to live, and my own way that I want to flow or move through life, and even my own survival for the beauty and the rebirth. It's a non-attachment, so that birthing can happen with the least resistance, which is suffering. And this is the only way, because it is happening. And so we must step into a harmony with that, and a bravery and a trust. And through that, you will be led to, if that should happen to you, you can be led to new experience where, if you have an open heart, your intuition flows more fully. So there can be a plan for where you might move, or how you might get through that experience. When we go into fear, we lose access to that natural guidance. So it's very important to trust, even most especially in significant circumstances. I honor that it's difficult as a human, yet that's what ascending is for us to face those fears and no longer have that relationship with change. So let's see. These beings were reminding us that we used to live this way, and we lived well and fully, and in this remembrance there is nothing to fear. We had beautiful sacred communities, we had honoring magic, we had nature magic, because we were so in honor and awe of the earth. We used to speak the same language, and the old song. And this is important because what's also happening energetically is, you could say the earth is experiencing or singing a new song. And if you are out of harmony with that new song, if you are not in rhythm or able to sing it, there will be suffering for you and for the body of Gaia. So by remembering, we come back into an energetic attunement. The song is about frequency and energy, and that's basically the epitome of the problem. Is that we used to live by the rhythm, by the song, by the heartbeat, by the sacred drum of the earth, and then we stopped. And it's only through coming home to that song that we can truly live and have what we desire, this beautiful well earth, and in ourselves too. So we need to also, through this remembering, remember our responsibility and our impact on the planet. And that brings it back to that vision of even the buffalo feeling the turbulent seas. We need to take responsibility and honor the great impact that we have had. It almost makes me think of the Hawaiian prayer. I can't say this properly, but Ho'oponopono. It is an ancient prayer or ritual about forgiveness, where one takes responsibility for one's actions and creations, and one creates forgiveness or asks for forgiveness, and it's done through certain steps, and it's beautiful. And that is what we need to do, kind of like an atonement, through the action of retaking responsibility. And in that way, this frees us too, because many people are feeling, guilt and anxiety and all the things that you feel when you maybe have been living or doing wrong by someone. And that's in the collective. And we want to honor that, and we want to transmute that and live more freely. Guilt and things like that, they make you unfree. So we must transform. And then I had this vision of these ancient lives of, it was like casting a circle or something. I don't know, drawing like chalk circle on the earth, and it's like a certain symbol. And my guides are saying now, through this action of kind of using symbols upon the body of the earth, we could cultivate what we needed. And even right now, I see this vision of water just coming up from, like, through that circle and that symbol. Water arises. It just came up from what was earth. And the only way to get to that advanced magic and harmony is to awaken and take responsibility. So the fairies were also saying that they are the flicker in your heart and the flickers of light, of play and joy in your heart. And ultimately, they ask us to become as children who know nothing, instead of gods who have lived like they know everything. This has been and they talked about our mind structures. So the structures of the mind, you could think of that as like a dimensional. So on the astral level of things, on the blueprint level of things, there is a mind level where what we think may not be physically manifest, kind of like an energetic structure. And this impacts the planet, this impacts the energy body of the planet. And the way to move through is to become as children who, we need to settle down our superiority over all life, and recognize that we are one part of a great whole. We are one part of a great, beautiful whole. And I know when I tap into that, I feel peace, and I feel like that's more natural than anything else in the world. And they were saying that we have a choice to be free and to live in celebration of this experience and of this life. The choice to be free and live through celebration and peace, rather than this fear that I mentioned. Now I have to turn a few pages here. So so many visions. Okay. Yeah, so we are asked to behold our center. We are asked to embody this fully. We are asked to trust the earth. I'm basically just checking what else we have here. In order to come into the elemental energy, that we, not that we become like a fairy, transform, but that elemental energy is that synergy with life, and it is that harmony, and it is that play with life. So through having harmony, through experiencing peace and stillness in our hearts, the opposite of that survival mechanism and fear, play and joy and celebration are completely natural. They are the natural state for us. So the guides were saying that the best thing that we can do right now for the planet is to cultivate, be peace. Be peace in all circumstances. If you feel that, what if you could be peace with great disaster? What if you could be peace with great anything? And it is, I know that it is a challenge, yet this is what we have wanted, and this is what it takes to live in a well earth. You have to trust the process. The way that people get through a challenge like that is trusting in the process and releasing their attachment to how things should be. And you do it for the love inside and for the light that is greater than this one individual. You do it because it's the song of God and you are a part of it. So there was something interesting here about, so, okay, because we don't feel in connection with the planet enough, this has caused a sensation. They were talking about what happens when the planet starts shifting. It's common in sort of eras of time that a sense of war comes across the consciousness of man. And we don't just mean like a physical war. We mean this kind of splitting. So, and we've seen that and we've talked about that already in the kind of differences in consciousness that are happening right now. That just seems to be getting worse and worse. And that is because the ability to remember that old song, and remembering is feeling, energetically connecting to that old energy, is essential to staying calm through this process and to moving through it in the healthful best way. It is essential. And if you are disconnected from the planet, you are disconnected from that, and so you don't feel safe and you feel tons of anxiety and uncertainty, and no trust with life, and just very restricted. There's a kind of squishing inside of that fear, like a pressuring, which is like terrible. It feels terrible. And so when you feel that and you don't have your anchor to the earth and you don't know what to do, people go, from a healthy perspective, people go crazy. They kind of lose their sense of what's keeping us not crazy, our spirit, our heart, even reason, the golden light or wisdom that you may have cultivated over eras of time. All of this becomes inaccessible, and then you basically go a bit crazy. And yet you have to cope with this situation. And so what I'm talking about, and what was really important, is the people who are out of balance in this way, who are not hearing the old song or the new song, depending on how you look at it. They are the ones who want to leave the planet. And this is this discussion that we keep hearing about going to Mars. And in some of these earlier notes, the fairies were also saying, we invite you to stay in your home. We invite you to stay in your home. The earth is not dying. She is not sick. She is giving birth. There is a massive difference. But if you can't sense that, even just unconsciously through your energy, if you can't sense that, you are going to have no access to that, and you're like, oh no, the planet's dying, we need to leave. But the guys were saying, do not leave the planet, trust the planet, keep connecting to the song. And they were also talking about how, remember I mentioned the buffalo, and he could feel the sea and he could feel the water. The sea is the nurturing, nourishing, replenishing, holding waters of the womb. So if you imagine a baby that is in the womb, they're kind of held and they're being nurtured. So the waters across our planet are her womb, or her waters, and it's essential that we can feel that, to trust that the planet is in a state of and is capable of replenishing itself. Replenishment, nurturing, all the things that you might associate with that. And we can, I know that I was like, can I feel the sea? And I can feel the sea. And I think if you are psychically open enough, most people watching this, you can still feel the sea, unless you feel like you are going crazy. But you're probably not watching this then. Okay, so don't worry about that. But what I'm saying is that the people who want to go off planet are also feeling a sense of like starvation, and like the planet is not replenishing because they can't feel the sea, they can't feel the waters anymore. So it is essential to understand, like, that's the why of why that's sort of all happening. And basically, yeah, trust the earth. Trust what is happening. Honor your heart and your light. Live by your heart and the flow of life most fully. And you will experience play, celebration, joy, all of those things. So there's one last note here about the beings that I was communicating to. And I just wanted to share with you that they said something very wise. I said kind of like, who are you? Obviously I know that they're elemental, but I was wondering if they wanted to share anything else. And they said that elemental beings are protectors or ambassadors and space holders for Gaia. And they tend to her and nurture her as gardeners who do nothing but upkeep the most natural landscape. And I just thought that that was golden wisdom and was perfect for the question of how do I practically apply this and look after the earth in a big way in my community, if I have a big community, or just individually. And if I'm a gardener, I just keep to the natural landscape, so I don't color outside the lines. There's nothing, I don't have to change things. I am in harmony. I'm in harmony with this. So you can kind of look around your life, right, and look at, where am I in disharmony with what's best for Earth, or what's most natural to Earth? And you can make those steps and changes. Just really typical example, like recycling, or like eating better, or whatever it is. Anything that is out of balance in that way, bring it home to, I'm a gardener who is just upkeeping the natural landscape. Yeah. And so these beings were also saying, yes, that they are elemental beings, they are light beings, higher dimensional energies. There was also a elven or elf kind of energy within that group that I was talking to. And there was also the energy of Alcyone, which I've talked about before, the planetary, or the star that is associated with the Pleiadian system, and also higher dimensional shifts into fifth dimensional consciousness. So it all kind of interweaves, doesn't it? Yeah. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and you can donate to support this channel. That's very, very appreciated, and you are appreciated for being here.